Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Shackle 5858. I am Amish Shackle. Following news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please let's go to the headlines.
Tonight, the new showdown between President Trump and Elon Musk. What changed here? Also breaking, the urgent manhunt at this hour for a father considered dangerous after what he did to his daughters. And air quality alerts tonight for millions of Americans. First, the smoke from the fires. Now, this 2,000-mile-wide Saharan dust cloud hitting the U.S. First tonight, Elon Musk taking on President Trump's budget bill, urging Republicans now to, quote, kill the bill, telling his more than 200 million followers to call members of Congress, and nearly 11 million Americans could lose their health insurance, according to a new report. Breaking story tonight, this urgent manhunt now widening for a father accused in the horrific murders of his 3 young daughters. Authorities say he once served in the military, he is trained, possibly armed, and what we've learned tonight. This evening, the new images just in, the bombing of an IVF clinic. Now the arrest at JFK Airport in New York City. Authorities say this new suspect helped the man who blew up the clinic, sending him 180 pounds of ammonium nitrate. Tonight, stunning new images, Ukraine's drone mission, those drones lifting up out of containers, flying to military sites deep inside Russia, setting military jets on fire. Well, tonight here, the call between President Trump and Vladimir Putin just today, and what Putin is now warning is coming. And now we learn Pope Leo has talked with Vladimir Putin too. Back in the U.S. tonight, chilling testimony in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. A witness describing the moment she says Sean Combs dangled her over a balcony on the 17th floor. He's lost tonight the Karen Reed murder trial. The grainy images shown to the jury of Karen Reed and her Boston police officer boyfriend as a loving couple. The defense team saying these images just an hour before prosecutors say he was struck by her SUV. And what a snowplow driver testified today. Tonight, those air quality alerts for millions from Nebraska all the way over to the Northeast, down to Florida. Smoke from the Canadian wildfires, and now this 2,000-mile-wide cloud of Saharan dust. Lee Goldberg has it all. At this hour, the pictures coming in, the U.S. Coast Guard on the scene of a cargo ship fire burning off the U.S. coast, carrying thousands of vehicles. Tonight, former First Lady Michelle Obama on her oldest daughter's decision to drop her last name. And America Strong tonight, tens of thousands watching that nest live. Those baby eagles. You saw the big sister who took flight. Scientists said she might not come back. So did she? And of course, all eyes now on the little sister. What's happened tonight? From ABC.
See, kill me, that's the opposite of booing. Happy Wednesday, everyone. So, big news. Korean Jean-Pierre says she's leaving the Democratic Party. Bye. I don't blame her. How could she trust the people dumb enough to hire her? Greta Thunberg posted pictures of herself having fun as her sailboat nears Gaza. Sailing experts and non-experts alike criticized the photo, saying she should be wearing a helmet. Filmmaker Michael Moore is proposing a new Pledge of Allegiance. Wants a new Pledge of Allegiance for those who oppose President Trump. It includes a few new phrases and ends with liberty and justice for Arby's. He looks like he ate Michael Moore. The White House is celebrating as plummeting murder rates dip below pre-COVID numbers. Thank you. Well, I guess that means you-know-who is taking some time off. Amazing story. Scientists injected 40,000-year-old Neanderthal DNA into mice, resulting in very unexpected changes. They died. A record 37.5 million metric tons of seaweed was detected in the Atlantic. I believe we have a picture. We're not even trying anymore, are we?
If it ain't broke,
Yeah.
it ain't broke.
According to MSNBC, Democrats should try to win over men by reaching out to guys at the gym. Well, I called dibs in the steam room, said one man. A man who slept in his car was arrested for breaking into a woman's home and licking her toes while she was sleeping. I know, gross. Sleeping in your car. And finally, Sesame Street announced they're wishing everyone a happy Pride Month. To celebrate, Cookie Monster is now only eating snickerdoodles that taste like ass. So young men have abandoned the Dems, and MSNBC thinks they have a solution. Hit the gym. Well, I tell them to head to Gold, but I know how they feel about Jews.
Tonight, the new tornado threat rushing in as we come on the air. Funnel clouds forming on the horizon. Storms setting off tornado sirens in St. Louis and the deadly flash flooding in Dallas. A rescue attempt turning dangerous when a first responder's boat flipped over. Plus, the code red air quality alert as wildfires make air unhealthy to breathe. Al Roker standing by tracking this dangerous situation tonight. Elon Musk demanding Congress kill the bill. The president caught off guard. What's behind the sudden break? Is it because a tax break for electric vehicles was killed from that big, beautiful spending bill? First, the surprise drone strike, then the high-stakes phone call. President Trump saying Putin's warning he will respond to Ukraine, likely collapsing peace talks. The takedown at JFK, a suspect arrested for allegedly helping in the bombing of that Palm Springs fertility clinic. His fringe belief that federal officials say may have connected him to the bomber. This just in, the raid to take down two men who tried robbing a military base. Investigators saying they found a cache of weapons, including a machine gun, silencers, plus Nazi and other white supremacist paraphernalia. The suspects, veterans themselves. So what were they up to? A major vacation alert tonight as summer ramps up. The record-breaking seaweed threat coming to a beach near you. And midnight madness over Switch 2. Why these guys waited in line for weeks in tents to be the first to get right. This nightly news starts right now. This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Yamas. Breaking news this Wednesday night, mourning the loss of the first Canadian in space. Marc Garneau's wide-ranging legacy in politics and as an astronaut. Tariff tactics, Canada's strategy to fight U.S. taxes on steel and aluminum.
We will make sure that we impose maximum pain to the U.S.
The pressure businesses are under. Up in flames, prairie communities ravaged, pets needing help.
We are scrambling to process new Oscars.
And scientists on a mission to predict when and where wildfires could erupt. Thus, all aboard the Edmonton Oilers bandwagon. The oil, why support for the team has grown since last year. Global National with Donna Friesen. Reporting tonight, Eric Sorensen. Good evening and thanks for joining us. We begin with breaking news and sad news out of Ottawa. The first Canadian in space and the former Transport and Foreign Affairs Minister, Marc Garneau, has died at the age of 76. The surprising news delivered in a statement from his wife, Pam. Mark faced his final days with the same strength, clarity, and grace that defined his life, she said, adding, the family is especially grateful to the medical team who provided such dedicated and compassionate care during his short illness. No further details have been casualties of a trade war. We now have 80% tariffs on a metal soft bite spoon for babies.
As the latest tariffs hit businesses and families.
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News. Good evening, I'm Maurice Dubois.
I'm John Dickerson.
American consumers and businesses are caught in the middle of a trade war. New Trump tariffs today doubled import taxes on steel and aluminum to 50%.
That will raise costs for businesses who depend on those metals, and it is likely to force them to raise prices on their products.
This is the day the president set to have America's trading partners submit proposals to avoid still more tariffs next month. He said China's President Xi is extremely hard to make a deal with. Canada's Prime Minister said negotiations are underway, but if they fail, fail, he is ready to retaliate.
Today, the Congressional Budget Office said tariffs will slow the economy. The president believes they will eventually boost U.S. manufacturing.
Right now, some U.S. manufacturers say they're being hurt by the tariffs, and their customers will feel the pain. Jolene Kent is in Los Angeles tonight. Jolene.
Good evening. When we think about these 50% tariffs on steel and aluminum, you often might think of those big ticket items when it comes to cars, trucks, refrigerators, washing machines. But what we found in Van Nuys, California, is that these steel tariffs are hitting everyday smaller items too. We went to the headquarters of Munchkin, one of the most innovative baby brands in the country, where steel tariffs are impacting their biggest products and their smallest.
No one thinks about a baby spoon as a steel product.
Stephen Dunn is Munchkin's CEO and founder.
Tariffs should be strategic. We need a tariff policy that doesn't have the unintended consequences of putting 80% tariffs on a metal spoon.
Dunn says making their popular soft bite baby spoons will cost 80% more because of the 50% steel tariffs plus the existing 30% tax on Chinese imports.
It's a tariff on parents and it's a tariff on small.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Bennett.
And I'm Amna Navaz. On the NewsHour tonight, the White House escalates its global trade war as the president doubles tariffs on aluminum and steel.
The Trump administration revokes hospital guidance regarding emergency abortions for women whose health is in danger.
And a Georgia teenager fights deportation after ICE officials detain her following a mistaken traffic stop.
I was very fearful of what my future may hold because I know how immigration looks right now.
Major funding for the PBS NewsHour has been provided by
democracynow.org/give. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Officials in Gaza say Israeli attacks over the past day have killed at least 95 Palestinians and injured 440 others. Among the dead are 18 people, including children, killed when Israel bombed a school housing displaced Palestinians in Khan Yunis. The airstrike came hours after Israeli planes dropped leaflets ordering people in Khan Yunis to leave their homes and head west.
Honestly, there isn't a single centimeter in the Gaza Strip that's truly safe. But some areas are relatively safer than others. The Israelis call it a safe zone, but in reality, it's not. Every day or two, you see them hitting a tent here or a house there, even a person in a car. There's no safe place in this country.
Separately, an Israeli strike hit the roof of an administrative building of the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Deir al-Balah, setting off fear and confusion among medical staff and patients. Meanwhile, the U.S. and Israeli-backed private organization Gaza Humanitarian Foundation said it's suspending aid distribution for a day to address security concerns. Israel's military...
Good morning, I'm Oliver Ferry, and this is Daybreak. Donald Trump revives his travel ban, announcing a measure to block entry to citizens of 12 countries from Monday. Trump links the move to an attack on Israel supporters in Colorado by an Egyptian national, but Egypt is not on the list, which includes Haiti, Libya, Chad, and Somalia. Ukraine's allies promised Kyiv more aid at a defense contact group meeting in Brussels. The UK says it will increase tenfold the number of drones it delivers, while Germany announces funding for long-range missiles to be produced in Ukraine. The United States is a major absentee, but Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is expected in Brussels today. The United States vetoes a UN Security Council resolution calling for an unconditional ceasefire in Gaza. It's the US's second blocking of a text on Gaza in 8 months, with Washington's representative saying the resolution failed to condemn Hamas. And gaming fans across the world are limbering up for the release of Nintendo Switch 2, which goes on sale today, which promises upgrades on the console's first iteration and the return of some classic Nintendo games. We'll be hearing more about it in our business segment with Sean Pellegrin.
Good morning, it is 7 o'clock on Breakfast breakfast today, the weight loss baby boomer warning that women using Manjaro can't rely just on the contraceptive pill.
Plus 500,000 more children will get free school meals, according to the government. We'll speak to the Education Secretary, Bridget Phillips, in the next few minutes.
It is Thursday, June the 5th. Doctors find more than 40 cases of women on weight loss drugs becoming pregnant and urge extra caution. The US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth arrives at the NATO meeting in Brussels and calls for a massive increase in military budgets.
I'm here at NATO's headquarters as ministers arrive to discuss America's demands for huge increases in defence spending.
President Donald Trump announces a travel ban on 12 countries, including Afghanistan, Haiti and Sudan. The government says 500,000 more children in England will be entitled to free school meals.
This ain't Texas, ain't no hold 'em. Lay your cards down, 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 down.
With us, boy Carters for a rise in tonight. Our father Matthew Knowles sits down with Sky News.
And I'll be damned if I can't slow dance with you. Come pour some sugar on me, honey, too. It's a real live boogie and a real live hope.
Good to have us. They don't putting the weight loss, just use more effective contraception. The Medicines and Healthcare Products Agency says that some so-called fat jabs could reduce the effectiveness of the pill.
Today, political uncertainty reigns. Tasmania's Parliament debates Rockcliffe's future as Premier.
I cannot stand idly. I mean, grab for power.
Erin Patterson admits lying to police as she gives evidence for a fourth day in her triple murder trial. US President Donald Trump bans people from 12 countries entering America, citing security concerns. And a push to expand drone delivery services despite complaints from the public. Hello and welcome to AC News. I'm Ros Childs. A no-confidence motion in Tasmanian Premier Jeremy Rockcliffe is threatening his political future as leader of the minority Liberal government. The outcome could dictate whether Tasmania's fledgling AFL team makes it onto the field as part of the national competition. Reporter Selena Bryan is outside Government House in Hobart. Good afternoon, Selena. So take us through what's happened today.
So we've just come back from the lunch break about half an hour ago. So this debate with a no-confidence motion that Labor brought on against the Liberal Premier Jeremy Rockcliffe, debate began yesterday morning, continued right through the day until about 7:30pm, started again today at 10 and finished at 1 before resuming after the lunch break at about 2:30. So we have got through most of the MPs having their say on this in this debate so far.
This is Asia Now.
It's 12 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 9:30 New Delhi, and 11 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Ronnie Samtani. At this hour, Donald Trump announces a travel ban targeting 12 countries as the U.S. steps up its immigration crackdown.
The recent terror attack in Boulder, Colorado has underscored the extreme dangers posed to our country by the entry of foreign nationals who are not properly vetted, as well as those who come here as temporary visitors and overstay their visas.
Meanwhile, the U.S. will seek revenge against Ukraine's recent drone attacks after speaking to Vladimir Putin on the phone. And Indian authorities investigating a stampede outside a cricket stadium in Bengaluru. 11 people were killed and dozens injured.
Filed sanctions against media houses covering former President Kabila of the activities of his party. The Headquarters Media and Communications Regulator says the ban would apply to all print, broadcast and digital platforms and that breaches would result in suspension. Christian Bosembe defended the decision, saying it was in line with the government embargo on the activities of Kabila's People's Party for Reconstruction and Democracy. Congolese authorities accuse Kabila of supporting Rwanda-backed M23 rebels who control 2 provinces in the country's east. Kabila, who made a public appearance last week in Goma, a city controlled by M23, has denied the accusation. In May, Congo's upper house of parliament voted to lift his immunity, potentially paving the way for his prosecution. A prosecutor is investigating Kabila for treasonous activity. The 53-year-old
to the majority in 2020. Years of isolationism under his predecessor Pierre Nkurunziza's is going run into 2027. 2 African nations were among those elected.
Bahrain, Colombia, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Latvia, and Liberia are elected members of the Security Council.
The DRC's foreign minister spoke to reporters after the vote.
We will most certainly come to the Security Council bearing the experience of a country that knows what it is like to have decades of conflict, that has a thorough understanding of the challenges of peacekeeping operations and protection of civilians issues, as well as the convergence between conflict, natural resources, and environmental changes. And this is the experience and expertise we wish to bring to the table, not to serve our own interests, but to serve the interests of humanity, because we know that the situation in the DRC is not an individual or isolated one. We have a lot of crises around the world.
Both Liberia and the DRC have served on the council before. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko meeting with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping in Beijing on Wednesday. Xi praised sanctions hit Belarus as a true friend of China and urged the Russian ally to join Beijing in opposing hegemony and bullying. Lukashenko's 3-day visit is his first since he was declared winner of January's widely criticized election, extending his 31-year rule of the former Soviet Republic. He said both Belarus and China are facing a pressure campaign from the West. You have very correctly noted the main feature of the current time: unprecedented pressure from the West on us. First of all, on the People's Republic of China. And today, the eyes of many states, as well as of Belarus, are turned to you, to Beijing. Distinguished President, 5 years ago, they used to say, if China withstands, it means that the planet will be balanced and will exist. Today they say, China has withstood, will withstand, and China will not allow the world order to be broken. The Belarusian economy has been battered by Western sanctions and trade tariffs because of its backing of Russia's war in Ukraine. Minsk has counted on Beijing as a provider of credit and investment and is also turning to China for help transforming and upgrading its industries.
Thank you very much for giving time to Amir Shackle 5858. I am Amir Shackle. Have a good life. Bye-bye.